Former President Donald Trump, in a move that sent shockwaves through the global economy, imposed sweeping tariffs on a vast range of imported goods. These tariffs, announced in April 2025, targeted allies and rivals alike. The European Union found itself slapped with a 20% tariff. China faced a hefty 34% tariff. Japan and South Korea were hit with 24% and 25% respectively. These tariffs, according to the Trump administration, were meant to protect American jobs and industries from unfair foreign competition. However, the move was met with widespread condemnation and warnings of a looming trade war. The tariffs, particularly those on automobiles, seemed especially aimed at the heart of the German and EU economies. The tariffs represented a significant escalation in Trump's protectionist trade policies. His decision to target long-standing allies like the EU sent a clear message. The rules of global trade, at least as far as the Trump administration was concerned, were about to change. The reaction from global markets was swift and brutal. The day after the tariffs were announced, stock markets around the world plunged. The S&P 500, a key indicator of the US stock market's health, experienced its worst drop since June 2020, plummeting by 4.8%. The tech-heavy Nasdaq suffered an even bigger blow, falling by 6%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average wasn't spared either, dropping by 4%. These dramatic drops reflected the fear and uncertainty that gripped investors worldwide. The tariffs, they feared, would disrupt global supply chains, increase costs for businesses, and ultimately stifle economic growth. The market turmoil served as an immediate and stark warning. The tariffs were not just an American problem, they were a global one. The response from the European Union and Germany, a powerhouse in the automotive industry, was swift and furious. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen declared, "If you take on one of us, you take on all of us." Her words underscored the EU's commitment to a united front against what it perceived as an attack on its economic interests. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz echoed this sentiment, condemning Trump's tariffs as fundamentally wrong. Germany, heavily reliant on its automotive exports, stood to lose significantly from the tariffs. The tariffs represented a direct challenge to one of Germany's most important industries and a cornerstone of its economic strength. French President Emmanuel Macron, in a show of solidarity with Germany, urged European businesses to halt investments in the United States. The message was clear: the EU was prepared to take concrete action to defend its interests. The stage was set for a transatlantic trade war. The German automotive industry, a symbol of German engineering and a major employer, found itself directly in the crosshairs of Trump's tariffs. Volkswagen, one of the world's largest car manufacturers, announced that it would add the cost of the import fees to the price of its cars sold in the United States. This move, while designed to protect Volkswagen's profit margins, was likely to make German cars more expensive for American consumers, potentially hurting sales. Stellantis, another automotive giant, took a more drastic step, pausing production in its Mexican and Canadian factories. This decision put the jobs of 900 US workers at risk, highlighting the potential for the tariffs to cause collateral damage even within the United States. Outgoing German Economy Minister Robert Habeck, in a dramatic comparison, likened the potential impact of the tariffs to the economic fallout from Russia's invasion of Ukraine. His words, while stark, underscored the seriousness with which Germany viewed the situation. The backlash against Trump's tariffs wasn't limited to the European Union. Countries around the world voiced their displeasure and threatened retaliatory measures. Canada, a close US ally and trading partner, wasted no time in responding. The Canadian government announced a 25% tariff on US cars and trucks and an additional $5.7 billion in retaliatory tariffs on a range of American goods. Japan, while expressing regret over the tariffs, refrained from immediate retaliation. However, Prime Minister Fumio Kishida hinted that his country would not hesitate to act if necessary. China, often a target of Trump's trade ire, responded with predictable fury. The Chinese government, labeling the tariffs as self-defeating bullying, promised countermeasures. From Brasilia to London to Tokyo, the message was clear. The world was not going to take Trump's tariffs lying down. Section 6. Empty plates and price hikes, the real cost of tariffs. While the geopolitical posturing and stock market swings grabbed headlines, it was the potential impact on ordinary consumers that revealed the true cost of Trump's tariffs. Economists warned that the tariffs would inevitably lead to higher prices on a wide range of consumer goods. Everything from bananas and grapes to shrimp, sugar and coffee was expected to become more expensive. Grocery stores caught in the crossfire would be forced to pass on the increased cost to consumers, putting a strain on household budgets. The tariffs represented a regressive tax, hitting lower-income households hardest. They underlined a fundamental truth about tariffs. While often touted as a tool to protect domestic industries, it is consumers who ultimately bear the brunt of their cost. Section 7. Experts sound the alarm, a global economic threat. The potential fallout from Trump's tariffs wasn't lost on economists and international organizations. The International Monetary Fund, a global institution tasked with maintaining financial stability, warned that the tariffs posed a significant risk to the global economy. Kristalina Georgieva, the head of the IMF, cautioned that the tariffs could stifle global trade, disrupt supply chains, and ultimately hinder economic growth. Harvard economist Jeffrey Frankel, a leading voice on international trade, criticized Trump for undermining the multilateral trading system that had underpinned decades of global prosperity. The World Trade Organization, the body responsible for regulating international trade, expressed similar concerns. The WTO warned that the tariffs could lead to a 1% drop in global trade volumes, a significant decline with far-reaching consequences. The consensus among experts was clear. Trump's tariffs were a dangerous gamble with the health of the global economy. Section 8. Not everyone's on board. US opposition to the tariffs. While Trump remained defiant, his decision to impose sweeping tariffs was met with resistance even within the United States. The New Civil Liberties Alliance, a non-profit legal organization, filed a lawsuit challenging the legality of the tariffs. Lawrence Summers, a former Treasury Secretary, was among a chorus of voices that condemned the tariffs as dangerous and damaging. Summers went as far as to suggest that officials who supported the tariffs should resign in protest. In the US Senate, a group of senators, recognizing the potential harm of unchecked executive power on trade, introduced legislation that would require congressional approval for future tariffs. The opposition to the tariffs, while politically diverse, highlighted a growing unease with Trump's go-it-alone approach to trade policy. Section 9. Trump doubles down, more tariffs on the horizon. Despite the global condemnation, the market turmoil, and the internal opposition, the Trump administration remains steadfast in its commitment to its protectionist trade policies. Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross, a staunch defender of the tariffs, argued that they were necessary to force other countries to renegotiate trade deals that the Trump administration deemed unfair to the United States. Trump himself remained defiant, making it clear that he was willing to escalate the trade war if necessary. He even hinted at plans to impose further tariffs on semiconductors and pharmaceuticals, two sectors of strategic importance. His goal, he argued, was to bring manufacturing back to the United States, even if it meant disrupting global trade and risking economic retaliation. The world watched with bated breath, uncertain of what the future held. One thing, however, was clear. The global trading order, already strained by geopolitical tensions and the rise of economic nationalism, had just been dealt a significant blow.